Mr. President, it's a pleasure to be in your city, first of all, this city where you started your political career. To be here in Russia, which is a great country with a historic past and an important role to play in the future, and its demand that its history and its size, its culture, and its military strength and its possibilities give it a big role. There are big issues that can only be solved if Russia participates, and you will play a definitive role in that. And we want to find out what you think about security and freedom, about friends and enemies, about borders and threats, about economic policy and foreign policy, about Ukraine and the Baltic states, about Europe and the United States, about Syria and Iran, and about China and Russia. They're important problems and important conflicts that Russia will be part of the solution. None more important than the borders of Russia, none more important than Ukraine. Begin this afternoon and help us understand as you see it. Where are we? How do we get there? And where do we go from here?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for agreeing to work with us here today to be the moderator of this meeting. This forum is called the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, so probably it would be better to concentrate our attention on the economic issues, but I agree with you, without finding a solution to a number of acute international crises, hardly any advances can be achieved. We've been talked about Ukraine repeatedly. We understand there is no evading this question. But, you know, we always talk either about Ukraine, about something related to Ukraine. Several years ago, we talked about the crisis in Iraq, crises in different other countries. We're talking about what has already transpired, but we never talk about why it has happened. But if you want to talk about it, which is evidently quite important, I should like to start with this very issue. Why is there a crisis in Ukraine? I was quite confident that after the bipolar system went into oblivion after the collapse of the Soviet Union, certain Western partners of ours, particularly the United States, were in a kind of euphoria. And instead of trying to create a new situation, good neighborly partner relations, they started to explore new, free geopolitical spaces, well, free in their view. And that's why we were witnessing the expansion of NATO eastward and other phenomena. I was always wondering why that was happening, and finally arrived at a conclusion. I thought that some of our partners were under the illusion that after the Second World War, there used to be one world order, and now that the USSR was gone, they thought there was vacuum which had to be filled. And I think that is not the right approach towards finding a solution to these issues. And that's why Iraq happened. We know, and our partners agree, that there were errors committed in Iraq. But still, it happened once again in Libya and now in Ukraine. We are not the original cause of those crisis phenomena which are happening in Ukraine. They should not have supported the illegal coup d'etat, anti-constitutional coup d'etat, as well as a forceful seizure of power, which finally resulted in a serious confrontation in Ukraine and a civil war, as it were. What has to be done now? Today, no doubt, the agreements reached in Minsk, the capital of Belarus, should be observed. Let me emphasize, if we were not content with something, we wouldn't have put our signature there. But we have put our signature under those documents, and we will seek their full implementation. I'd like to draw your attention to this fact, your attention and the attention of our partners, but we cannot do that unilaterally, and I'm repeating it over and over again. They're telling us Russia has to influence somehow the situation in the southeast part of Ukraine, but that is not enough. Influence has to be exercised also on the central authorities in Kiev, and we cannot do that. This is the avenue which has to be pursued by our Western partners, the Europeans, the United States. Let's work together. Yeah.